data of inferences, of patterns to themselves and to their company. But that on its own doesn't explain the muttering teenagers. The second part of what we have today is, it's more a social change, really. One of the key points about engines is that the more open you are, the more information you give them, then the better they are. That's why those of us who remember privacy don't really get as much out of them. I mean, yes, okay, we keep throat mics on at work, we take them off when we get home, but the idea of allowing any third party access to everything we say, everyone we meet, everything we do, everywhere we are, is abhorrent. The idea that we should do that is just wrong. I'm not clearing my cookies every day. Ask your parents. Now, most of us, we suck it up. We deal with it because the results are worth it. The payoff that we get from being open is worth what we perceive as a cost. But we still take our throat mics off when we get home. I mean, hell, I still use a keyboard every now and again to write code. Some of us still have to, even as typing becomes a more and more niche skill. The only way to stay connected to everyone in your socials right now, no matter which engine you use, no matter which particular company runs yours, the only way to stay connected to everyone is to be entirely open. That's the only way that the engines know which of your thoughts to send to other people and which should come back. Do you remember the Facebook newsfeed and later the Twitter newsfeed and the fuss that caused? You remember how it prioritised information that was more important to you? Well, I'm offline right now at a conference, but as soon as I walk off and put my earbud back in, then my engine will start catching me up at 800 words a minute, faster than anyone could possibly speak, but still slow enough for people to understand, for the brain to understand. And it will start catching me up just on the important things, just on the things that matter to me. That's what those muttering teenagers are doing. As they walk down the street, they are talking to 1,000 people at a time, mediated not by an artificial intelligence, just by algorithms. They talk to the world, and the world listens, and they listen back. They are taking part in, I don't know, a giant century chat room, 18th century coffee shop. It's something much greater than the sum of its parts, certainly. I was telling worst case scenario scare stories about flash mobs back in the 10s, and we haven't seen the start of it.
Anybody hear me?
That's the crucial part of engines. You give, and they give. All of those engines talk to each other. One talks to the okay, no. The companies that control the engines have data sharing agreements between each other because it's not a good idea to anthropomorphize these things. If it needs to, the little engine on my phone that I carry in my pocket, it can access the downlinks from the military drones hovering over Brighton, circling 30,000 feet. Okay, the outsourced, privatized military drones hovering over Brighton at 30,000 feet. Maybe it needs to guide me past an obstruction, maybe more likely it wants to magically route me towards a friend, or maybe it wants to magically route me away from a cluster of people with ASBOs, or whatever ASBOs are called now. Or maybe it just wants to answer my question about finding a pub where I can see the sunset, and no one's asked that question yet. In exchange for me knowing that right now, then other engines from the government and the police can see what I am, who I am, what I'm doing, and what I'm going to be up to. And they know everything about me, but I also know everything about them. Those of us who weren't able to make that sacrifice
what do you know?
Don't get to use engines.
We're going to make it.
That's not a choice. That's the same way having a smartphone wasn't an option. Neither is not having an engine an option. I mentioned people with ASBOs, by the way. We've seen a lot of press about those excluded by the algorithms. Cory Doctorow, who is up next, talks about Wuffy in his book, Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom. A magical currency based on reputation store. Now, he wrote about neural implants and brain backups and essentially an automated system that worked out what other people thought of you and used that as an actual currency.
I got pills.
Bruce Sterling, we had this referenced earlier, Maneki Neko. It was used as an example of plausible deniability earlier, but it was artificial intelligence that was mediating that, a network that actually attacked people who were trying to bring it down and made their lives very difficult. What we have is so much more mundane than either of those options, so much less explicit. Your engine notices the time that it takes you to respond to things, notices the reactions you have to people, notices who you avoid, and your biases start to get taken on by the engine. And it was designed by engineers in Silicon Valley and Changwon Can, so as Fox News so delicately put it, and I apologise for the accent, well, as for some folks, it just don't work so well on them. Do you remember the racist webcam? Did anyone see that from 2009? It's an HP laptop with an automatic tracking camera, and it wouldn't follow you unless, I'm quoting here, you had enough difference in intensity of contrast between the eyes and upper cheek. Yeah, it's that, but worse. Because all the implicit associations, all the hidden biases that study after study after study after study have shown are in everyone's heads, they get picked up by engines. The fact that college professors are more likely to respond to inquiries from men, picked up by the engines. It's not clear enough to quantify, it's not clear enough to defend against, it's not one that you can pull out of the enormous web of connections and patterns that the engines pick up. And you should have seen the fury when one CEO said, well, that's the way it should be. Engines should reflect the biases of the people who own them. And then what about the people on the other end of the scale? People who, the people who want to be popular or don't want to be popular. We were starting to see sponsored lives back in 2014. Just the very start. The people who, yeah, I hated the word back then. The people who were vlogging. The people who are talking into their webcam once a day and uploading their lives and their thoughts and their experiences. And kids, teenagers, kids younger than that, flocking to these people. And old media, television in particular, couldn't understand it. Why would you want to just watch someone talk into a webcam? And they were trying to ask that even as they were updating their antiquated reality show formats to be ever more and more artificial. Saturday Night Entertainment, 2014, BBC One. Celebrities doing acrobatics. No wonder the kids flocked off to YouTube and its successors. And no wonder the advertisers went with them. Streaming live vlogs, of course, have been tried for years. Back in 1996 was arguably the first one, the first real-time feed. That was pre-Google. But the trouble was, with the exception of some obsessives and folks who were happy to watch people play video games 24 hours a day, you still need an editor. No one has time to watch lots of people's entire lives, so you still needed an editor to package up the highlights, tell a story, work out the details, and put it together for consumption. Well, engines can do that. Powered by measuring attention responses, constant, automated, A/B testing, and all its successors. They can do that. They did. Almost everyone born after 2010 is now providing a lifelong. And if they're good at it, if they're popular, they're providing it for an audience beyond that as well. No wonder they're the ones getting sponsorship and product placement. And for advertisers, there are no limits on how sneakily or subtly you can start putting product placement into there. The regulation hasn't caught up with it yet at all. And it's notable that there are people, folks in the news, folks who really don't want to be there. They have that audience, even though they really don't want it. There used to be that concept of the A-list celebrity and the Z-list celebrity, of course. The idea that Hollywood, movies and television and gossip magazines, they were the arbiters of who was a celebrity and who the public cared about. That was the idea, right? You know, you appear in a movie, you appear on television, you are in, you are part of that celebrity. That's not how it works now. Celebrity doesn't work. Celebrity works like the music industry used to. Sure, everyone knows that a folk rock sea shanty band is not going to make the top of the Radio 1 playlist. They're friends of mine that play Blastoff. They're really good.
There's a safe room up there.
But that's fine, because
Happy New
they
Year.
know that a folk rock sea shanty band isn't going to be there. They're not aiming for that. They're aiming for the portion of their audience that likes folk rock sea shanty bands. They're aspiring to be the greatest rock sea shanty band they can be. That's what they're aiming for. That's what their audience wants. And as the music industry always was, they can talk directly to those people, they can get the fans, they can target a niche. That's how celebrity works now. You can target a niche.
Hear me?
It doesn't matter, you may never be Hollywood A-list celebrity, but It doesn't matter. Maybe you're more interested in, it's always video games, some form of video game, some specific form. You can aspire to be the celebrity player of that particular genre, and you will find an audience, and they will know where you are, and the advertisers will follow it later. Of course, we've seen the danger of this, haven't we? Cardinal Richelieu's quote, supposed quote, "Give me 6 lines written by the most honest man in the world, and I will find something in them to hang him." Which has never been more true. We've seen modern engine technology used by oppressive governments just as often as we've seen it used to take them down. Yes, knowing the identity of every protester in a mob is devastating knowledge, but it will not stop that mob storming the gates of your palace. If they're already there, it's a little too late. We've also seen what a mob of angry, bitter keyboard vigilantes will do to someone that's offended them, when they really do have access to every aspect of your life. Hiding from abusers, from stalkers, is significantly more difficult than it ever was. There is no off button, no block button for face recognition technology, despite the EU's ham-fisted attempt to force one into law. Politicians have found that not only are their current lives open to detailed analysis, but their previous ones are too. Facebook survived long enough to get its data hooked into engines, just long enough. And of course, your privacy settings don't matter all that much when every tourist photo you've ever appeared in is now available for download as well. It doesn't matter whether you tag that as removement from this photo, because that doesn't really apply anymore. When all of your users have blanket access and just give it over, well, your life, from the advent of smartphones onwards, is perfectly searchable. I can't even claim I was young. I was like mid-20s at this point. And even if somehow you managed to come through all that squeaky clean, without a stain on your character, without a bad picture anywhere, can you claim that for everyone you were ever associated with, everyone you've ever appeared next to? Can you say for every word you ever anonymously wrote on every web forum anywhere that all of those were fine? When IP address logs, which are in the engines, and prose analysis, which is really easy to do, can trace it back to you with 95% accuracy? We're at Panopticon now. We're there. At least for everyone who lives in a city or uses anything other than the postal service, and that's 85% of the UK population and rising. Have you seen the crime statistics? Pretty much every type of crime is down in the last 10 years. It's not a statistical blip. It's not underreporting. The percentage of crimes being underreported, sorry, the percentage of crimes going unreported has gone down too, and yes, there's a methodology for that. You can look it up. I know correlation is not causation. I know that the two don't go together, but if you go out into the street and just ask people who grew up post-Google, if they would trade everything that the last 16, the last 32 years has given them for some nebulous concept of privacy, you are going to wait a long time before you find someone who thinks that's a good idea. And if you talk to kids who grew up post-engines, then privacy is this strange thing that their grandparents believe in. Why wouldn't you share exactly what you're doing? That's just the right thing to do. Imagine for a minute that you are sitting back here in 2014, the day before Lin and Xiaoming released that paper. Nothing seems to have changed for a little while. The last big revolution, back in 2014, the last big revolution was Twitter. And that was 8 years old. Say complacency, just enough thought of stability as they came out of a risk that they'd gone and got themselves into another bubble. Apps, this time. Smartphones. Previously, back then, it was the dot-com bubble, but now, apps. There were companies investing billions in just little toys on phones. They'd never get their money back. They knew somewhere, they must have known they were never going to get their money back, but it meant that their competitors weren't getting that little toy on the phone. And maybe they'd make enough money back with advertising or whatever idea they had that they could start to make something else.
Damn it, it's getting
That's exactly
good.
what's going on now. Engines, the engine I use, the engine those muttering teenagers use, has just been bought for $20 billion. It'll last, what, a couple of years? The investors are banking they can make that money back in that time. They won't make their money back, just like last time and just like the time before that. But my point is not to complain about people being people and making some poor investment choices. And my point is not to mourn my old-fashioned ideas of privacy, because even back in 2014, that ship was sailing, and it would have taken an incredible effort to stop it. Privacy was already dead, it's just that not everyone agreed with it yet. And my point is not to be someone from the previous generation complaining about muttering kids and their damn distractions. Of course they're distracted. They are part of what may be the greatest thing ever to happen to this planet. My point is this: the dot-com crash, all the way back then, did not kill dot-coms. The app crash did not kill apps, not the concept. It killed a lot of the individual ones, but we're still using them. The engine crash won't kill engines, but you're sitting here and you think the world is always going to be like this. Everyone does. I do. We've always had engines. At the same time, we've always had smartphones back in 2014. If I think back to my time in university, I had a smartphone then. I just remembered, no I didn't. An old brick of a Nokia, because that's when I went to university. But my brain's kind of casually edited in that, of course, we always had smartphones. But here's the thing. It might not have been engines. It might have been anything. It might have been nanotech or biotech or some weird thing I can't think of even now. Predictions of the future never, ever turn out to be true. But that next thing, whatever it is right around the corner. It always is, no matter what year it is. Whatever that next thing is will change the world, and it will arrive so fast, faster than anyone can think, that it won't be shocking, it won't be startling, it won't plunge us into a horrible dystopia or elevate us to a glorious Technicolor future world. The same way that our world, right now, isn't really either of those things. Whatever comes next will change our lives, and we have the choice to shape how it'll change our lives, but it will change them. And those lives will, by and large, get a little bit better, just like they usually do. So whatever that next thing is, and whatever year it actually turns out to be, I hope I'm with you soon. My name's Tom Scott. Enjoy the rest of the show.